Hi everyone, welcome to my very first YouTube video, and today I will present you a massive book haul about a bunch of books that I got in the past couple of months, in the past year, as my first video. And most of them are mainly gifts from my family, my friends, and mainly from my fiance who gifted all of those books to me when he was in basic training in the military. So let's jump right in and I will show you the books. So I will divide this book haul in different genres that I have. I have romance, historical fiction, literary fiction, thrillers, fantasies, classics, and so on. Now the first book genre that we'll talk about is literary fiction. I think I have 4 books that correspond to that category. There's one of them I'm not quite sure. But the first one is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I think that's how I pronounce her last name, I'm not sure. Correct me down below, feel free to do it. But this is about this Chinese American family in the 70s, and their favorite daughter is dead. It says it at the back, it's not a spoiler. I am currently in the middle of it. I'm right here into the book, I need to finish it. But I'm really interested. I think it's the first book I've ever read about family trope that much. It really was centered into a family and also with a different ethnicity. I've never read about an Asian family before, so I'm really excited about this book. And I've heard that the end was shattering. And one of my friends loves this book and she highly recommended it to me, so I'm really excited. Now this next book that I have in this genre is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I really didn't like this book. I read it a couple of months ago and it's a 2 stars for me. Really didn't make it for me. And I would like to give a second chance to Sally Rooney with her other book, Conversation with Friends, which I'm gonna put right here. But other than that, I don't know. I think it was just a book about immature college students who didn't know what they wanted and they just ended up hurting people around them because of it. I really didn't like it. The only thing I appreciated in this book was the aspect of Connell when he was trying to find who he was in his future, in his college career. That I really like because I think it's a thing that as a young adult I can relate a lot to. And also the quotes that were criticizing capitalism were very interesting. So it just didn't make it for me, I'm so sorry. Now this next book is very special to me because it was gifted by my teacher, my literature teacher. She was teaching us English literature, poetry, she was teaching us Shakespeare, how to write poems, drama pieces, and so on. She is an amazing woman, she is vibrant, she's so smart, and she would always read classics during breaks, and me too, I would read during the breaks, and she would sit down next to me at my table and talk to me about books. One time she sat down and she talked about a feminist book that she loved, and also talked to her about some books that I read about that topic, and we just exchanged like that for like 15 minutes almost. And on her last day of school, because she doesn't work at my school anymore, she said, I want to give you a book that made me think of you and that I think as a young woman would be really amazing for you and I think that you would love. And that book is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I didn't hear about Sylvia Plath before she told me about her, and then I made a lot of research about Sylvia Plath and I've heard really amazing things about her, and I am so happy that she gifted me this book. And it's also her copy that she had when she was studying in college to become a literature teacher in English. And I even have her name written, the date. I'm not going to show her name, but I have it a little bit here. And I have tabs, I have her annotation, so this is a really prized possession for me. I'm really excited to read this. Now this next book, I don't know if it's a literary fiction one. I consider it as a literary fiction one, but tell me guys down below, correct me, tell me if it is. And that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by her last year, and no, like a year and a half ago, and I loved it. It was wonderful. But a thing that I have with this author is that at the beginning, before reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I was like, I don't care about Hollywood stories or movies. I'm not interested. I don't think I would like the book. And I ended up loving it. And also the same thing is happening for me right now. I don't care about bands. I don't like books about music, concerts, bands, movies. It's not my thing. But I have a feeling that the same feeling I had with The Seventh Husband of Evelyn Hugo, that I will have it again for this book. That I think I won't like it, but I will end up liking it. So I'm really excited to try this. And also it's written in interviews, which is extremely interesting. I have never read a book before that was written in interviews. So it's really, I don't know if you can see, but it's in interviews, it's not normal dialogues. So I'm really excited for this book. Now we will jump into the fantasy genre. And the first book that we have is super famous, and it is a famous Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. I barely finished this trilogy last month and I loved it so much. It shattered my heart at some point in the last one. If you guys know, you know. And I love this series, and I love the fact that there's way more emphasis on the political world and challenges in the romance. I think it makes a fantasy way stronger and interesting, and also everything that I wasn't expecting in this series happened, and everything that I thought would happen never happened. So it was crazy. I loved it. I was always on the edge of my seat. I was reading in one sitting like 200 pages. It was amazing. I highly recommend it to anyone, whatever your age or reading taste. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. Now the next fantasy books I have quite an issue. I only have the first and the third book because the second book didn't get shipped correctly because we ordered them off of Amazon and it didn't deliver to my address. But I have the first one. It is the famous ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Extremely famous on TikTok, on YouTube, on social media. I have heard so many good things about this and I'm so excited to read it. It's, I think, a young adult. I think it started off as a young adult and then it continued as a adult fantasy romance kind of thing. So I'm excited to see. I've heard so many good things about it. Everyone that I watch, every booktuber that I watch on YouTube loves this series, so I'm really excited. And I think this is the second book, ACOWAR, I think it is, or ACOMAF, I can't remember. But this is the second book. I don't have it yet, but hopefully I will soon. And the third book is ACOWAR, so the second one was ACOMAF, but this is A Court of Wings and Ruin. It's way thicker. And I think I had a spoiler on this book by accident, but still, I'm excited to read this series. I think there are 5 books in this series. I'm gonna put them here in the screen, but I'm really excited to read this series. Now, the next genre is historical fiction, and I think historical fiction is my favorite genre ever, either if it's in movies or books. I just love it so much, especially if there's a bit of romance in it. I love it. And the first book we have is Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Also this cover is amazing. It's so beautiful. It's a really big book because it's really written extremely small, but this is about Addie, who is a French girl in the 1700s, and she makes a pact with the devil, I think, so that nobody remembers her, but she lives forever. But one time I think a random man is going to remember her, and I'm really excited for that book. I have heard amazing things about it. I watched a couple of videos about this book and everybody loved it, and this is exactly the type of book, the type of story that I love. So I can't wait to start it. Now this next book is about World War II, and I love reading books about World War II. I think they are extremely sad, but if a book makes you cry, it's because it's good, right? So the first book I have is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Again, heard amazing things about it. I've seen a lot of people cry on this book in reading vlogs, but I'm excited still. And it's big, but it's about, I think, these 2 sisters in World War II who resist the Nazis, but like in very different ways. So I'm really excited to read this. And also the cover, again, the gold is amazing. I'm really excited to read it. And now the last book that we have is Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. She got really famous recently for her new release called The Fort Wing, which I really want to read. It seems amazing, but this is what I have for now. And I think it's about this couple. I think it has 2 timelines, like one in the present and one in the past. I'm not sure. I didn't read the blurb in the back. So I think, yes, I think it's about this couple in World War II and about war and everything, so I'm excited. I think with letters, which I love. I've read a book like that a couple of years ago. I'm gonna put an image right here. I've read it in my native language in French, so I don't know in English what it is, but I'm gonna put the picture so that maybe any of you guys know it. But yes, so I'm really excited for this one. Now, the only classic that I had recently is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I have been wanting to have this book for so long, for so many years, and this is my first classic in English. The rest of my classics are either French ones or translated English classics in French in my native language. This would be my very first one, so I'm really, really excited. I think the only classic that I read in English was Macbeth by Shakespeare and Animal Farm by George Orwell. I'm gonna put the pictures here, but other than that, this would be my very first one. So yes, I'm really excited for this. So now let's talk about mystery, thriller, horror books. The first one that I have is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this is the book. I've heard that there was an incredible plot twist at the end, so I'm trying to not watch any reading vlog or reviews to not spoil myself, but I'm really excited to read this. It's really intriguing. It's about this woman who shot, I think, her husband. In the end, she stops talking and she's put into a psychiatric hospital, and only one doctor could make her speak. So I'm really excited for this one. Now these next books are written by Stephen King, and I have a lot of affection for this author, and it started when I read The Eyes of the Dragon. I'm gonna put a picture out loud to my fiance on the phone because we were in long distance before he left for boot camp, and he would work at this factory, and I wanted to read, and he asked me to read out loud to keep him awake because he was working 12 hours every single day, so he was getting really tired. And I was reading out loud this book to him in my native language, so he didn't really understand, but it was so fun. And then we grew this affection for Stephen King and his books, and then he bought me a bunch of Stephen King books, and he also bought himself 3 books of them, no 4, I'm sorry, 4, and then he bought me the same ones so that we could read them together. So that's why I love Stephen King now. And the first book is The Stand. It is massive. It has like 1200 pages. It's really massive. But I've heard so many great things about this book, and also Stephen King writes a lot about military fiction, which is kind of cool, honestly. And I think it's about this apocalyptic vision of a plague in the world, and I've heard amazing things about this. It scares me to read this. I think it would genuinely take me months, but it's okay. It's worth it. Also, the cover is kind of cool. Now, the next book that I had was a gift from my dad. He bought me this book when we went to this mall, and he had this bookshop with books in English. So that's what we bought, and it is Pet Sematary. It's one of the original, really small editions. It's not the original one, but it's really small and stiff, which I think for Stephen King book is really nice. And I think it's about this cemetery with dead pets inside that rise from the dead. That's a bit creepy, but I'm really excited. I've heard really good things about this. Now this next book, I have never heard anything about it. I've never saw any content about it either on TikTok or YouTube, and it is Dreamcatcher. And this book, just my fiance didn't know anything about it. He just saw the cover on Amazon and he just bought it without knowing what it was about. And he bought me the same one, and I have read most of it already, and it's weird. It's probably one of the weirdest books I've ever read in my life, honestly. And it's about aliens who travel through people's toilets, and they're soldiers as well. They are there's this kid that I really love. It's one of my favorite characters. He's so adorable. He has a mental disability, but he's so sweet. So I need to finish this book. I really need to. Now this next book, also, I never saw anything about it. I didn't even know that the movie Stand By Me was based off of this book. And again, my fiance chose it for me, and it is The Body. It's a really short book. I think it's even a novella, but it's really, really short. It's about 3 friends who find a body somewhere, and I plan on reading this book first and then watching a movie. So this is the book. It's really short. I think I could read it like in one day, no problem. So this is it. And then the last book of Stephen King that I have that I already read, and I think it's my favorite one so far, is Misery. It is amazing. I didn't think that Stephen King would make a book with only 2 characters and one setting so interesting. It was gore, it was stressful, it was intense, it was amazing. I loved it so much. I highly recommend it, and I have a lot of quotes that I highlighted. And also the main character, what's her name? Annie. She's really creepy. She's the creepiest character I've ever read about, but we love that. In the thriller book, we love that, so I highly recommend this one. Now, the next genre that I have is romance. I only have 3 books for this genre for now, and they are quite famous and I'm really excited to read them. The first one is Red Ride in Royal Blue. This book was gifted to me by one of my friends for my birthday in February, so thank you so much if you're watching. And I think this book was really popular in 2020, I think when book talk was starting, and I've seen this book everywhere, and I barely got it now 4 years later, but it's better late than never. And I think it's about this prince of the United Kingdom who falls in love with the son of the United States president, so that's interesting. I'm excited to see. Now these 2 books are by the same author, and they are by the one and only Emily Henry. She's really famous, and I never read any books of her yet, and I'm really excited to do so soon. And the first one is Beach Read, and the second one is Book Lovers. I think this is about 2 authors. One of them writes romance and the other one literary fiction, and they don't know what to write about, so they just switch genres and they fall in love in the end. So I'm really excited. This is it seems really cute. It seems like a really cute story, and I think this is a workplace romance, but I'm not sure. This is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true. I didn't read the back. I like to get into books without reading the back, so yeah. And I love the cover also. They just pass books to each other. It's so cute. And Book Lovers, it's just it's a romance between people who love books, apparently, which is really exciting. So I can't wait to read her books. And also I've seen that there is a new release of her. I can't remember the title, but I'm gonna put a photo here. So yes, I'm really excited for these books. Alright guys, this is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you guys want any other type of book videos or anything else. I plan on doing videos here on this YouTube channel once a week, hopefully, if I can, and to talk about a bunch of different things. But thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, and share if you can. Thank you so much. Bye bye.